Old school, new rules. We look at ancient breeds and free underfloor heating with a regenerative farmer.
But I'm actually really excited by this product.
I'm not surprised.
Because there's so many things we can do with it.
How small can your farm or small holding be to qualify for APR in the eyes of the taxman? We ask Adrian, the friendly accountant.
Is the house itself a farmhouse, or is it a house on a farm?
And I'm discovering how much timber I can get out of a fallen oak. Welcome to Farming Britain. There's a lot going on in the world of regenerative farming. There's an energy, a buzz, and it's spreading because in a sector known for isolation and loneliness, communities are growing out of a shared goal of making the land pay and be in better health for it. We're joining Kitty Grubb, a champion of Regen, who wants to introduce us to her farmer friend, Olly Martin.
Can you see mallard? Absolutely magnificent.
No.
Sorry, the mallard, he's the name of the bull, sorry.
Oh, Mallard, I was like, where's Mallard? I want to join the dots. I want to go and visit farms in different parts of the country, find out what they're doing, find out what's working for them, what's not working for them, and then share those good news stories, because we need good news in farming.
You're obviously just nosy then, Kitty, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm really nosy. My dream is just going to farm after farm across the UK and be like, what are you up to? Show me, tell me.
Our first stop is to see Olly's herd of white park cattle.
So the white park basically are the oldest native breed in the British Isles.
Cool.
Largely unimproved for the last 2,000 years. Commercially, they're not popular. They're very slow maturing and they've kind of been left behind.
And you sell these guys, you sell their meat at the markets?
Yeah, all the progeny will basically go for beef. The biggest difference in our beef is actually the way it's reared, as in the fact that it's 100% pasture and it's slowly matured. So basically, typically, if in a more conventional system, you'd be, arguably you have to get them slaughtered by sort of 24 months to make it pay, but that's because you've been stuffing them full of grains and various other things. Whereas this system, we're looking at 3.5, 4 years old time they're getting slaughtered. But with that, obviously it's a completely natural diet, slow maturing. The meat is exceptional, and you really can taste the difference. And once you start eating that sort of meat, you think, why would I ever eat grain-fed beef again? And I'm really passionate about that because, especially just look at that. Look, it's beautiful green. I know it's like again, conventional farm. Oh, it's covered in docks, covered in this, that, and the other. But the point being is, we're not using any pesticides, not using any herbicides or any fertilisers. Everything's completely natural.
That low input story sells. This is Olly at a farmer's market in London. Like so many farmers these days, he's cutting out the middleman and hunting down the end consumer who wants to feel connected to where their food comes from. Stepping into the world of regenerative farming can be a leap of faith because you're leaving the security of what's paid the bills for decades, or maybe not.
One of the drivers was, certainly from the
right.
beef and sheep enterprise kind of thing, is the fact that it wasn't making any money anyway, right? So it's like, how are we going to make this work?
Fair. That's fair.
It's like, that makes things a bit easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Might as well give something else a go.
Okay, maybe we should not put that bit in.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant because there's so many other farmers who are going to relate to that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, but that's, I suppose, one of the natural kind of things that most farmers seem to have is the ability to kind of change and roll with the, the seasons or the trends or whatever's happening.
Yeah.
Although I think a lot of people have forgotten that and have got stuck in their ways and must do this, whatever. But I think naturally speaking, the majority of people can actually just think outside the box.
Time to head to another part of the farm, Compost Corner. Concerned about the price of straw for livestock bedding this year because of low yields over the dry summer, Olly's come up with a cunning plan, reducing his costs to nearly zero.
This is coming direct out of your garden waste bin, the council collected bin.
Natural underfloor heating.
I've come up with an idea and I've trialled it a little bit so far, but to use this as bedding, right? And so we have tried it with the cows already, absolutely love it. And the great thing about it, as we saw here, is that when you've got a deep litter, that's all going to start washing down, and the heat coming out that will keep our little cows lovely and warm throughout the winter.
They'll be absolutely
And
delighted.
I will just tell you something
Snug
else,
as a
right?
bug.
And also why I know it's going to work. Every now and then we get breakouts. Cows like to go on a little rampage.
Yeah.
And quite often, where will you find them?
Here.
Sitting on top of this.
Ah,
Yeah.
I'm the king of the castle.
Yeah, well, it is literally like that.
So
But they're itching it and they're rubbing it and they sit on it. Anyway, and then obviously in a housing situation, obviously this stuff will rotting down, all mixed in with the the dung from the cattle. It's just going to make this incredible farmyard manure that again obviously spread onto the land.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just the whole thing's just cycling around.
What is so amazing about Olly is that obviously he's got his farm, but he's got a whole range of other things going on, which is, it's almost impossible to remember them all, but he's got his beef, he's got his honey, he's got his stalker, he's got the tannery, he's got this charity that he's working with in London for ex-addicts. It's completely crazy. And you know, he's obviously got a small team behind him, but he's one man running various operations, and I think it's incredible.
Our final stop is the new lagoon. Surrounded by ancient woodland, the water neutrality scheme means the whole farm will be off-grid for all its water usage. And instead of just finding somewhere to dump the spoil, he's built an amphitheatre as a community space.
In my few days of slight concern and panic around what we're going to do all this stuff, I came up with this quite interesting idea of creating a landform that is of interest and something that's really striking and something that's beautiful. I'm making a kind of an amphitheatre, a space where we can bring people in to, whether it be music, whether it be enjoying food together, whether it be camping, whatever.
I mean, it's incredible, but why the lagoon? What's that going to bring to the farm? What's the sort of...
So the lagoon is basically, so with that we're storing water.
Yeah.
And so this is the hub of the water neutrality project. So basically we are going completely off grid with our water usage, and we're completely and wholly dependent on just the rain coming out of the sky. We've got a 7.5 kilometre network of pipe. I'm just going to pump it around that, and we've got these hydrants that we showed you earlier in the ground. When we punch in the hose pipe and supply the cattle with water.
Just before we leave, Drew and Barnaby drop by from Ash and Plum. They're just one of the businesses we've been talking about, working alongside Olly. They are wood artists inspired by ceremonial forms, and their work is beautiful.
We're very fortunate enough that Olly has let us have access to his woodland to use for our sculpture. So we've been working through a couple of trees that had already come down, I'd say, what did you say, about 6 months ago?
Yeah.
That we came for a visit just to kind of see what we could work with to turn into our own sort of personal sculptures, / be able to build a relationship with the woodland, especially an ancient oak woodland is just...
It's pretty special.
Yeah, it is, and it's very therapeutic really as well.
Yeah.
We using ancient materials to create sort of ancient tributes, so it all ties in.
It's
really
all about the
beautifully,
story.
yeah.
It all,
Yeah.
people really then connect to that, especially in an age where everything's mass produced.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's so special, and I love how your customers are asking you where this wood has come from, because that, I firmly believe, this is what consumers should be asking about, where their food comes from in ag. How has that got here? You know, don't lose that connection to the provenance of something.
Well, I think that's the truest sort of value these days, and that's actual what I would say is sort of true luxury. Really, is being able to actually connect with where your materials. It's not like a keyring that's being sold by Louis Vuitton and made in China for £700. You know what I mean? It's something that's kind of involved real blood, sweat, and tears, and responsibly looking after a woodland and the connection with the woodland. It's hard to come here and not feel somewhat soothed.
Olly thrives on being creative, but is also throwing his farm gates open to ideas from others who need space, raw materials, quality products, and also quality byproducts like skins and fleeces, which reduces waste and turns 200 acres into a vibrant, healthy, industrious landscape. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you, Olly. Why is it that all Regen farmers look like rock stars? Well, clearly Rachel Reeves believes that all farmers have rock star wealth, which is why we've brought in a friendly accountant, Adrian, to talk us through APR, whether you own an allotment or an estate. What boxes do you need to tick to actually claim on APR?
Well, to claim on APR, it's clearly got to be an agricultural holding. And certainly if we look back at some of the tax test cases that have been lost, the agricultural holding test has actually failed. You know, for example, I can think of a very famous case that involved an orchard with a box of apples with an honesty box beside the road. That was claimed to be agricultural property for relief purposes, and perhaps unsurprisingly it failed. The only thing that surprises me about that case is how far up the legal system it went before failing. So, yeah, we've got to establish an agricultural holding. There has to be an agricultural purpose behind the asset. Next thing I'd actually say is actually focus on where the asset value sits. If we're talking about a reasonably small farm, you know, maybe up to the 100 acres, there's going to be a disproportionate amount of value in the farmhouse. To what extent does that farmhouse qualify for agricultural property? And quite commonly we're having discussions around is the house itself a farmhouse or is it a house on a farm? And there's quite a clear distinction there. And the more evidence there is and the more purpose there is of the farmhouse being used in the course of farming, you know, using the stereotypical example, the lamb being bottle fed in front of the Arga. We've all seen the picture postcards of that. That sort of thing is important, provided that it in itself isn't artificial and it fits the overall picture. If the farmhouse is being used, and increasingly we're seeing small holdings that are going back to what they would have been a few years ago, perhaps with multiple income sources. Perhaps there's honey being produced in hives on the fields. Perhaps we're bottling apple juice from apples that have been grown in the orchard. All those kinds of multiple income sources. If we can actually focus those income sources in the farmhouse, then basically we're strengthening our case.
Okay. One of the biggest problems dealing with families?
Oh, absolutely. I'd actually say when it comes to family and financial tax planning, having more than one child is one too many. It's not necessarily the division of where you want the assets to go tax-wise that matters. It's what actually can then completely mess up the next generation. You know, take for example, family with 2 children, one's involved in the farm, one isn't. How do you ensure some degree of parity amongst the 2 children, which you probably love and respect equally as much, but wanting to see the farming continue and only one of them is actually actively involved on the farm? That's the biggest challenge in my book.
Okay. But if anyone needs any help,
we're there for you. We might be in Suffolk, but we're happy to travel literally anywhere to meet clients and help them. Zoom has made the world a small place.
There's more from Adrian by clicking on the link below, and he can literally fly in and help. He has a Cessna. Now, what to do with a fallen oak? Check it for landmines. This is a big heavy lump of potential. 4 years ago, it was skillfully manoeuvred from where it had fallen and placed into the field where it has sat ever since. Even though we have a number of trees on the ground on our small holding, some dating back to the '87 storm, this is the one James gave the thumbs up to for our first ever foray into sawmilling.
So I'm pretty excited to start opening it up and see what it looks like on the inside. Because we're cutting dimensional timber out of it, we can change which way around the cuts are going to be and we can try and work around any cracks that we find. I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty good log. I think that's why we chose to do this one, and after all the ones that you showed me, this was probably the best bit.
James Vann is a local tree surgeon, chainsaw instructor and sawmiller, and he's come over to try and extract some useful lumber from this decent sized oak.
The idea is to turn this log into some usable timber and possibly into the form of floorboards.
One piece of kit I didn't expect to see today is a landmine detector.
Which has saved me quite a few quid over the years finding stuff. It will pick stuff up through even the whole thickness of this tree if it's on its highest sensitivity, but I'm kind of just looking for stuff that's on the very outside. because if it's in the middle of the tree, I'm not going to be able to cut it out until we start milling it anyway. I'm just going to turn it down a bit. Problem is with this, if you leave it on full sensitivity, you'll just start picking stuff up on the floor or your boots. It's making all the right sounds so far. I'm just checking. No, that's pretty good.
To start with, James wants to neaten up the log. To me, it feels like a waste, but you soon realise you need to trim the fat to produce a nice clean product. What's very cool is his chainsaw has been tuned. So that's not any old saw then?
No, this has been like ported, the timing's been advanced. It's got a little bonus exhaust pipe on it. No, I think it's got no baffles in the exhaust.
So you've tuned it?
I haven't done it myself, I paid someone to do it. This is out of my understanding.
Okay.
I've had this saw since new. It's in 2009, one of the first saws that I bought.
Wow. Wow, that's an endorsement for steel.
Yeah.
What's the bar?
It's got a 20-inch bar.
Okay.
With a skip tooth chain on it. Unlike a normal chain, it's got less teeth.
Oh yeah.
On, so it misses a couple out each time.
And the reason for that is what?
Just so it can, I mean, realistically the reason is when I bought a chain online, they didn't have the one that I wanted, so I just settled with this one. That's the reason. I didn't want it, but I needed a chain for that week, and I've had it since. Cut's all right. It's less teeth to sharpen, so.
With the log in a good spot with enough room around it, he starts setting up the mill. It takes about half an hour to get it all lined up.
It kind of works off of just like levelling everything around the log. You just do it by eye.
There are three main mobile saw options for getting usable timber from a fallen tree. The Alaskan sawmill is the simplest, which is a chainsaw guided by rails, then the bandsaw and the Lucas. James will be using a Lucas mill today, developed in Australia for heading off into the outback. He likes it because it fits in the back of his van.
I'm sure there are probably some mobile bandsaw mill operators that would be able to process this one way or the other, but I doubt that they would be able to do it as quickly as we'll be able to get through it and cut it into the product we're going to cut it into. I mean, the chainsaw mill would be good for cutting big wide slabs out of this, but you know, for the project that you want to use it for, that's not really that useful. There's only so many big dining tables that you would need in a house.
Can you guesstimate how much the value of the timber would be getting out of it?
I mean, it would be in the thousands for sure. I mean, it's hard to say until we start actually cracking it open and seeing what the quality of it. Yeah, it could be about £5, or it could be, I don't know, 2 or 3 grand maybe in floor, especially when it's seasoned and turned into stuff. But the process is long. It's not just about milling it. You know, you've then got to season it properly and stack it up properly so you don't ruin it by like warping and twisting, and then you've got to machine it and turn it into whatever type of floorboards it's going to be in, and they've got to be fitted. So it's not like we're not taking this straight from a tree, putting it into your house. It's still, you know, a long-term project. Starts with ambition, doesn't it? And then it'll end up sat in your shed rotting instead of in the log out here.
My wife's going to see this. All right. James begins cutting into the trunk to reach the solid-looking wood.
Pretty good. Yeah. It's very hard. You can hear it as it's cutting through how hard the wood is. I think we'll do a couple of layers of stickers and then see what it looks like from there on.
it may look as dry as a bone on the outside, but you go in literally 2 inches.
Yeah, and it's almost...
That's really wet to feel.
Yeah. It's not quite green, but it's certainly holding on to a lot of moisture.
Finally, we start milling the boards. The process is loud, but with hearing protection, enjoyable, even relaxing to watch. The question I've really been wanting to ask is what we can expect to get out of this oak.
Probably about 50 or 60 good ones, and then a number of like lesser quality boards with shake or little bits of rot in, but it's kind of how it is with big old trees like this. They're not grown specifically for creating timber,
Yeah.
so you have to kind of work with what you get, but there'll definitely be some good stuff amongst it all.
At about the halfway point, James explains the character of the wood that is starting to appear.
You can see these like medullary rays that kind of show up at certain angles, and we can't see them amazingly now because it's rough sawn, but where it's just rained a little bit, it's kind of brought them out and made them a little bit more prominent. But we're going to start cutting some boards out of these, particularly these sections, so we get, when they're sanded and oiled, we get these patterns really popping out of the timber. I think they're formed basically by how the tree transfers nutrients up and down when this part of the tree was actually alive.
James tries to make them stand out using some water, but it doesn't quite deliver the desired effect.
Oh, that did nothing.
I don't know, you caress it and go, oh, look at that. Oh, there we go. There we go. A little bit.
A little bit.
With the oak taking its toll on the cutting edge, James uses the sharpener on the teeth before the last push. From start to finish, it's taken most of the day. It's still a very satisfying day's graft. So what did we get, do you reckon? About 60, 70?
60, 70 boards, yeah, I think. There's some really, really prime stuff in there amongst some of it, which is always good.
Do you still find satisfaction out of it, or is it?
Oh, especially when it's all stacked up nicely and it's sat somewhere for a little bit, and you can think of the projects that you're going to use it for, or someone's going to use it for in the future. It is satisfying. I think the fact it's quite hard work as well. At the end of the day, you feel pretty good when you go home and you sit on the sofa and you like feel like you've done a day's work.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Physical labour gives you that satisfaction. It's weird. It's sort of like it's a really nice fatigue.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I find it way easier to deal with than like mental fatigue. And you find it a lot easier to fall asleep at night as well when your body's worn out.
Well, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
To book a sawmill with operator costs between £300 and £500 for the day. What you achieve will depend on how much prep you've done. Access is of course important, as there's lots of kit. Nice straight lengths of timber make life easier, and of course you will need dry storage for possibly years. Now, the one thing that's been really difficult to represent is the smell. Now, if you're a whiskey drinker, you will appreciate this, because this smells of whiskey, or the other way around really. Whiskey smells and tastes of oak. And just the fragrance of this is extraordinary. I mean, it really is gorgeous. How long that will last, I don't know, but yeah, it is absolutely lovely. If you want to book James, who's based near Tunbridge Wells, head to his website, summerhill-woodwork.com, where you can see he does more with wood than just millet. Thanks for watching. If you have a great countryside initiative or business innovation that you want to put in front of a countryside curious audience, drop us a line.